Hello, everyone, and welcome to Entertainment Expansion. We are your hosts, Tyler Callahan and Mike Ferrante. Mike, how you doing?
Well, like usual, Tyler, I am chilling. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. Let's just get right into it. No long-winded intro. We are talking about a movie for the podcast. It's a movie that came out last year. It's called The Creator. It's from 20th Century Studios from Disney. Directed by Gareth Edwards. You would know him best as the guy who directed most of Rogue One. And it stars John David Washington, Ken Watanabe, and Gemma Chan, among others. So it is a sci-fi movie with a fantastic budget of $80 million. Mike, what'd you think?
It's gonna sound like a bad thing,
Hmm.
as it kind of is. Not very memorable. I feel
Well,
like it's a
well, I don't think
movie
that'd
that,
ever be considered a good thing, but go ahead.
like, it's not a bad movie,
Hmm.
and that's kind of, it's this weird thing, right? It's not a bad movie at all. Like, I don't think, like, nothing about the acting was bad. I'm sure some things of script could have improved, but overall, that wasn't really my issues with the movie. I feel like it was more storyline. It felt like a movie that had a good concept, but was stuck on playing it safe and going by the numbers and going through the
Yeah.
routine. I feel like it did nothing new with a new topic.
It feels like watching this, you have watched this movie before.
Yes, which it's a little bit of a letdown because again, it is an interesting topic.
Hmm.
It's something that we haven't really fully seen before, but yet they turned it into something we have seen a million times, just a different backdrop.
Yeah, I would agree with you. The biggest issue with this movie, and we'll sing its praises on some parts toward the end, but the glaring thing, and here's the thing, the trailers for this were amazing. I thought, okay, $80 million, trailers look good. We have a potential massive like surprise hit of the year with this out of nowhere. And it's not
No.
because of the screenplay. The script it's trash. It's a trash script.
See, now when you say the script is trash, you're talking about dialogue, plot, all of
Uh, Less the dialogue, but the plot
it.
definitely is the main hindrance. It's the fact that toward the end, it felt like it had three different endings. It's one of those movies,
Yeah,
where it just kind of kept going and going. It does one main twist between the first, second act, and then like they're like, okay, that kind of makes sense. But then it's like they don't. There's one more twist at the end that's like a twist on top of the twist, without spoilers. But then that just kind of fell flat how they resolved that.
yeah,
It was just like, okay, I just feel we kind of wasted everyone's time here. The lore was interesting, but I just feel wasted.
yeah.
Like they kind of hinted the US wanted to try and get rid of the robots anyway and use the nuke in LA as an excuse. Do we expand upon that? No. Just kind of
Yeah.
drop that. It's like you know, no robot could do that. No robot could nuke LA. Could have been human error. It's like, okay, well, guess we're just not gonna talk about that. Because that's the thing, honestly, the lore they built in this movie, I would love because this is on Hulu, a Hulu miniseries, an FX miniseries, from different point of views, because they put a lot of work into the lore, the backdrop of how robots came to be, how AI and the robots came to be, the effects, the nuclear attack on LA, the war, and it feels like while they built it up a lot, it's kind of wasted.
Yeah, very similar to what was what was that like the first movie that aired on Max? Was it Reminiscence?
Yeah, it was one of them for that year where everything came out day and day with Hugh Jackman.
Yes,
Yep.
and the
Yep.
basically the setting of the movie was more interesting than the movie itself.
Same thing. Good trailers. Yeah, great cast. The lore is interesting, and then, like you said, they just do nothing with it.
Yeah.
Look, that was a nice noir detective movie, but like you build all this amazing stuff and you don't touch it.
And it's actually very similar too, because the act we never had a problem with the acting in that movie either. It's
No,
again, it's the plot lines. It feels
and look,
too
the
safe.
acting here, one prop. The acting here is good.
Yeah. John David
Like,
Washington did a fantastic job.
I know John David Washington. He does get some shit online and like, oh, he's not that good and all that. He's pretty good.
He's a solid actor.
Like, yeah, all right, fine. He's not Denzel, but he's fucking good. Like if he's in a movie, I become a bit more interested in it.
Yes,
Like I'm not gonna go out of my way and be like, oh my God, he's in it. But like I was like, okay, he's in it. There might be something good here. Um, yeah, everyone in the main cast was good and they did well with what they were given. It's just, yeah, the like even the kid was good too. You know, one of the main
yeah,
issues with this, with these kind of films is like the child actor. Are they going to be good or not? The child actor here was fantastic.
absolutely. And like special effects in the movie were amazing as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing. I mean, it did get nominated for Academy Award for visual effects, which thank God they had enough common sense to nominate.
Yeah,
The biggest thing about this movie, I guess sadly because the plot is so bad, is like its claim to fame now going forward will be look at this visually beautiful movie for only $80 million.
yeah.
You can stream it now on Hulu. It's on Hulu. You can rent it, buy it, whatever. But like you're gonna watch them like, wow, only $80 million. Like they really got every single dollar out of that.
They,
Um,
they did.
it's just kind of said that like that's that and some of the acting is its claim to fame, not this gripping story with characters that move you. And it's like, nah, it's not there.
Yeah, it's a very weird situation where it has so many things going well for it, but it
Hmm.
still falls flat.
Yeah, that's why like a screenplay isn't boring. Like the dialogue's all right in this film, but the plot is so boring and like almost takes you out of it that like it hinders every single other part of the movie, even though
Yeah,
all of that is like aced. They aced it. So talked a lot of talked about a lot of the parts of the movie so far. The action. What'd you think of the action?
I feel like for what we got, the action worked well for it.
I think for $80 million, they definitely didn't skimp on it.
No, they didn't.
Yeah,
Again, I keep going back to it, but I can't stress this enough. A lot of things went right in this movie.
exactly. Yeah.
The action set pieces were nice. The actual action itself was good for the scenes that we saw, and it wasn't an action heavy movie, but the moments of action it had were definitely the more interesting ones, and it kind of brought you back into it.
I mean, for $80 million, they went to space.
Different locations in space too.
Yeah, and it's not even like, oh, here's a quick glance at space. It's like, no, like a good 15, 20 minutes of the movie is set in space on a space station with different sets. It's like they got a lot out of it.
Yeah,
And that's the thing too, when they went to the space station, it didn't look cheap either. It looked high tech.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, the action was good. But that's the thing, like they even have like a lot of little moments. And just thinking about the action, like the suicide robot that they have, and it's not that big of a spoiler. Shocker, the U.S. government used suicide bombers.
yeah,
I remember one of the robots was like saluting the American troops before they ran out to blow themselves up.
yeah,
Like it's just small stuff like that. Like it's not like generic robots that just blow up. It's like even the robots, even though they're not supposed to have much of a personality,
they still do.
they do. They do.
And another scene, because they do a flashback, it doesn't give too much away. When they're going through the wreckage of Los Angeles after the nuke dropped, and they
Hmm.
find that one robot that was still kind of kicking and it kind of snapped out of it and woke up, its first response was, "Where are the children? Are they okay?" And it started freaking out trying to find the kids.
Yeah.
So like, like
For as much as the story is boring, there's a good few emotional moments in the movie. There's a few of
absolutely,
them. Yeah. But I feel that's less of the script and more of the acting as well, with what,
yeah.
the work they put into that.
I feel like the majority of actors brought their A game,
Yeah.
and even the dialogue itself, for the most part, wasn't an issue.
Yeah, I mean, it really is the story.
Yeah,
Now, I'm not going to say like, oh, if they did this, this, and this, it'd be a 9 out of 10 movie, but I just, with so much work gone into this, to have a bare bones, yes, seen it before sci-fi movie story is just very meh. Like that's
yeah.
what you cheap out on?
It just played it too safe.
Yeah. Which, as we see in other genres of movies, playing it safe is getting a bit too old now. Talking about
Oh yeah.
superhero movies. Sci-fi, like, look, superhero movies are faulting, right? The only movies that seem to be bringing in some new life is drama and horror. This was a chance for a sci-fi movie to really step it up and break the mold, and it
And
didn't.
that and that's what sci-fi movies were typically known for,
Yeah,
is
known
being
for.
different.
I mean, the biggest sci-fi movies right now are the Dune movies, but even that's just an adaptation of a book.
Yeah.
No knock to the Dune movies, still waiting for part two to come out, but part one was fantastic. But like, when your biggest sci-fi movie at the time that the general audience is interested in is not an original idea, but an adaptation of a book that's over 30 years old,
Well,
what is Hollywood doing?
yeah.
I I don't know. It's because like I,
Again, a lot of it's a money game. So they're
yeah,
like, all
look,
right,
it's a
well,
money game. All right, cool.
we know this does well, this does well, this does well. Let's do that.
And you know what sucks? Creator didn't do well at the box office.
No, it did not.
It did not. And what was the last besides Dune? Oh, same director. We got Blade Runner 2049 and somewhat because it is a sequel, but an original sci-fi story that also didn't do good at the box office. So it kind of catch 22 where you have original stories, creator not as original. They go out there, they swing for the fences, but the audience doesn't show up. Dune is the exception to that rule.
Yeah,
Ad Astra with Brad Pitt, goes to space, kind of sci-fi, more of a father-son movie. That also doesn't do well. Like, I mean, I guess just taking a step back before we wrap it up, like, what do you think Hollywood needs to do to get the audiences to care about sci-fi movies? Because Dune being an exception is an all-star cast and a popular director who has made previous hit films. That seems to be the only reason that works.
well, here's the thing to that. I don't really know if there's a good answer because it needs to be something massive for it to do well in theaters these days.
True.
The theater business is not what it used to be before COVID. People are now kind of used to and comfortable to, okay, well, it's going to stream on this service that I have
Hmm.
from this. So we were given that instant gratification for the longest period of time. So it kind of got, I feel like it got people who aren't the diehard moviegoers or like, hey, let's go to the movies this weekend, let's see something for fun, instead of actually going out and seeing it. No, we'll just wait till it comes out on streaming.
And that's why the past year or so, if you've noticed, or if anyone listening has noticed that, yeah, during COVID times, day and date, everything, please just sign up and watch. Please, we just want you to watch.
Yep,
Give us your $10. They collapsed what is called in Hollywood the release windows, right? So you have theaters, you have streaming, you have Blu-ray, you have iTunes. They collapsed all that into one, basically, or two. In the past year or so, the studios have started to push back and try and build them back up, right? Like they're building up the house. So if you've noticed, like Disney now will be a 45-day minimum before it hits Disney Plus. Universal's 30 to 45 days, the exception being Oppenheimer, but that's only because Nolan put it in his contract where he waited over 6 months.
yeah,
But they are trying to like slowly build out the windows, but then we're running into the issue of people are slow to come back to theaters to watch.
correct.
Like last year was the best year since 2019 box office. That's fantastic. Big part of that though is Barbenheimer. You take that out and ain't that hot. So, I mean, like that's something the studio's got to figure out. And who knows? With streaming prices keep going up, up, and up. Maybe they're like, you know what? Maybe AMC A list is a good deal.
Possible.
Because like if you're paying for 3 or 4 services and you're paying 50, $60 a month, 25 bucks a month at AMC, you can see 3 movies a week as soon as they come out. You don't have to wait. Don't wait for it to hit streaming. Just go to theater. Done.
This is true.
But and I know Regal has their option as well, but yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. I would hope Hollywood like improves on their sci-fi offerings. Because it also seems like TV shows they've put a lot of money into sci-fi shows. I know Apple TV Plus has a few. I haven't watched them, but there's like Foundation, Invasion. So it seems like sci-fi might be a bigger thing on streaming than in theaters. But I kind of think sci-fi is kind of meant for theaters. Like we're supposed to be taking these brand new worlds. You'd want it on the biggest screen possible, not watching on your
Yeah,
tablet.
it's true.
But uh, I digress. So, I mean, my thoughts overall. Um, this was a almost for me. It was almost a top 10 movie of the year. It had everything is like an A or A minus except for the story, which I would give it like a solid C, really.
Yeah.
Played it too safe, like you said. It really did. However, with all that being said, I'm going to say it's worth a watch.
Funny you say that. I'm still in that same direction too, because listen, you could watch far worse movies out there. You just gotta
Aquaman
you
2.
don't ruin it for me. Just kidding. You'll be hearing us talk
I'm
about
just
that.
teasing a future episode, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot worse movies that came out last year.
There definitely was. And again, this isn't a bad movie. It's too safe for it to be something truly good or great.
hmm
But overall, I'd say give it a watch as well. Any final thoughts, Tyler?
Uh, no, no. I think that's about it. I am curious for Gareth Edwards, who did direct the movie. It did come out actually a few days before we recorded this podcast that I believe he has signed on to direct the next Jurassic World movie. So if anyone listening to this is wondering where this director is headed off to, he is headed to Universal to speed run a Jurassic World movie. They are filming in July and they want it out next July. So good
Well,
luck to him.
yeah, the good thing is speedrunning movies usually ends up working out in everyone's favor. Thor, Love and Thunder.
No, see,
Um,
first thing that came to mind was Disney's sequel trilogy.
yeah. But
Hey, can we push
anyway,
this back? Nope.
before we get into a little rant here, we want to know, are you looking forward to watching The Creator? Have you watched it? Do you agree with us? Do you disagree? As always, we want to hear your thoughts. Let us know at Entertainment Expansion. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you for listening.